Marrakesh is a major city of the Kingdom of Morocco. It is the fourth largest city in the country, after Casablanca, Fes and Tangier. It is the capital city of the mid-southwestern region of Marrakesh-Safi, located to the north of the foothills of the snow-capped Atlas Mountains. Marrakesh is located 580 kilometers southwest of Tangier, 327 kilometers southwest of the Moroccan capital of Rabat, 239 kilometers south of Casablanca, and 246 kilometers northeast of Agadir. Marrakesh is possibly the most important of Morocco's four former imperial cities. The region has been inhabited by Berber farmers since Neolithic times, but the actual city was founded in 1062 by Abu Bakr ibn Umar, chieftain and cousin of Almoravid king Yusuf ibn Tashfin. In the 12th century, the Almoravids built many madrasas and mosques in Marrakesh that bear Andalusian influences. The Red Walls of the city, built by Ali ibn Yusuf in 1122 to 1123, and various buildings constructed in red sandstone during this period, have given the city the nickname of the Red City or Ochre City. Marrakesh grew rapidly and established itself as a cultural, religious, and trading center for the Maghreb and sub-Saharan Africa. Jemaa El Fnaa is the busiest square in Africa. After a period of decline, the city was surpassed by Fez, but in the early 16th century, Marrakesh again became the capital of the kingdom. The city regained its preeminence under wealthy Saadian sultans Abu Abdullah al-Qaim and Ahmad al-Mansur, who embellished the city with sumptuous palaces such as the El Badi Palace and restored many ruined monuments. Beginning in the 17th century, the city became popular among Sufi pilgrims for Morocco's 7 patron saints, who are entombed here. In 1912 the French protectorate in Morocco was established and Hami El Glaoui became Pasha of Marrakesh and held this position nearly throughout the duration of the protectorate until the role was dissolved upon independence of Morocco and the re-establishment of the monarchy in 1956. In 2009, Marrakesh Mayor Fatima Zahra Mansouri became the second woman to be elected mayor in Morocco. Like many Moroccan cities, Marrakesh comprises an old fortified city packed with vendors and the stalls bordered by modern neighborhoods, the most prominent of which is Guelez. Today it is one of the busiest cities in Africa and serves as a major economic center and tourist destination. Tourism is strongly advocated by the reigning Moroccan monarch Mohammed V, with the goal of doubling the number of tourists visiting Morocco to 20 million by 2020. Despite the economic recession, real estate and hotel development in Marrakesh has grown dramatically in the 21st century. Marrakesh is particularly popular with the French, and numerous French celebrities own property in the city. Marrakesh has the largest traditional market in Morocco, with some 18 souks selling wares ranging from traditional Berber carpets to modern consumer electronics. Crafts employ a significant percentage of the population, who primarily sell the products to tourists. Marrakesh is served by Menara International Airport and the Marrakesh Railway Station, which connects the city to Casablanca and northern Morocco. Marrakesh has several universities and schools, including Qadi Ayyad University. A number of Moroccan football clubs are located here, including Najm de Marrakesh, KAC Marrakesh, Mouladia de Marrakesh and Chez Ali Club de Marrakesh. The Marrakesh Street Circuit hosts the World Touring Car Championship, AutoGP and FIA Formula 2 Championship races. Etymology. The exact meaning of the name is debated. The probable origin of the name Marrakesh is from the Berber words Ama Akush, which means land of God. According to historian Susan C. Wright, however, the town's name was first documented in an 11th century manuscript in the Karawiyan Library in Fez, where its meaning was given as country of the sons of Kush. The word Mer is used now in Berber mostly in the feminine form Tamut. The same word Mer appears in Mauritania, the North African kingdom from antiquity, although the link remains controversial as this name possibly originates from mu alpha upsilon rho omicron sigma mavros, the ancient Greek word for black. The common English spelling is Marrakesh, although Marrakesh is also widely used. The name is spelled M-A-R-A-K-C in the Berber Latin alphabet, Marrakech in Spanish, and Marrakech in Moroccan Arabic. From medieval times until around the beginning of the 20th century, the entire country of Morocco was known as the Kingdom of Marrakesh, as the kingdom's historic capital city was often Marrakesh. The name for Morocco is still Marrakesh to this day in Persian and Urdu, as well as many other South Asian languages. Various European names for Morocco are directly derived from the Berber word Marrakesh. Conversely, the city itself was in earlier times simply called Morocco City by travelers from abroad. The name of the city and the country diverged after the Treaty of Fez made Morocco a French and Spanish protectorate, but the old interchangeable usage lasted widely until about the interregnum of Mohammed bin Rafa. The latter episode set in motion the country's return to independence, when Morocco officially became Al-Mamlaka Al-Maghribiyya, its name no longer referring to the city of Marrakesh. Marrakesh is known by a variety of nicknames, including the Red City, the Ochre City, and the Daughter of the Desert, and has been the focus of poetic analogies such as one comparing the city to a drum that beats an African identity into the complex soul of Morocco. History. The Marrakesh area was inhabited by Berber farmers from Neolithic times, and numerous stone implements have been unearthed in the area. Marrakesh was founded in 1062 by Abu Bakr ibn Umar, chieftain and second cousin of the Almoravid king Yusuf ibn Tashfin. Under the Almoravids, pious and learned warriors from the desert, numerous mosques and madrasas were built, developing the community into a trading center for the Maghreb and sub-Saharan Africa. Marrakesh grew rapidly and established itself as a cultural and religious center, supplanting Agmat, which had long been the capital of Haouz. Andalusian craftsmen from Córdoba and Seville built and decorated numerous palaces in the city, developing the Umayyad style characterized by carved domes and cusped arches. This Andalusian influence merged with designs from the Sahara in West Africa, creating a unique style of architecture which was fully adapted to the Marrakesh environment. Yusuf ibn Tashfin completed the city's first mosque, built houses, minted coins, and brought gold and silver to the city in caravans. The city became the capital of the Almoravid Emirate, stretching from the shores of Senegal to the center of Spain and from the Atlantic coast to Algiers. Marrakesh is one of the great citadels of the Muslim world. The city was fortified by Tashfin's son, Ali ibn Yusuf, who in 1122 to 1123 built the ramparts which remain to this day, completed further mosques and palaces, and developed an underground water system in the city known as the Ratera to irrigate his new garden. In 1125, the preacher Ibn Tumet settled in Tinmal in the mountains to the south of Marrakesh. He preached against the Almoravids and influenced a revolt which succeeded in bringing about the fall of nearby Agmat, but stopped short of bringing down Marrakesh following an unsuccessful siege in 1130. The Almohads, Masmuda tribesmen from the high Atlas Mountains who practiced Orthodox Islam, took the city in 1147 under leader Abd al-Mumin. After a long siege and the killing of some 7,000 people, the last of the Almoravids were exterminated apart from those who sought exile in the Balearic Islands. As a result, almost all the city's monuments were destroyed. The Almohads constructed a range of palaces and religious buildings, including the famous Kouto Ubir Mosque, built upon the ruins of an Almoravid palace. It was a twin of the Giralda in Seville and the unfinished Hassan Tower in Rabat, all built by the same designer. The Kasbah housed the residence of the Caliph, a title borne by the Almohad rulers from the reign of Abd al-Mumin, rivaling the Far Eastern Abbasid Caliphate. The Kasbah was named after the Caliph Yaqub al-Mansur. The irrigation system was perfected to provide water for new palm groves and parks, including the Mainara Garden. As a result of its cultural reputation, Marrakesh attracted many writers and artists, especially from Andalusia, including the famous philosopher Averroes of Córdoba. The death of Yusuf II in 1224 began a period of instability. Marrakesh became the stronghold of the Almohad tribal sheikhs and the Ahl Adar, who sought to claw power back from the ruling Almohad family. Marrakesh was taken, lost and retaken by force multiple times by a stream of caliphs and pretenders, such as during the brutal seizure of Marrakesh by the Sevillian Caliph Abd al-Wahid II al-Ma'mun in 1226, which was followed by a massacre of the Almohad tribal sheikhs and the families under public denunciation of Ibn Tumart's doctrines by the Caliph, for the pulpit of the Kasbah Mosque. After al-Ma'mun's death in 1232, his widow attempted to forcibly install her son, acquiring the support of the Almohad army chiefs and Spanish mercenaries with the promise to hand Marrakesh over to them for the sack. Hearing of the terms, the people of Marrakesh sought to make an agreement with the military captains and saved the city from destruction with a sizable payoff of 500,000 dinars. In 1269, Marrakesh was conquered by nomadic Zenata tribes who overran the last of the Almohads. The city then fell into a state of decline, which soon led to the loss of its status as capital to rival city Fez. In the early 16th century, Marrakesh again became the capital of the kingdom, after a period when it was the seat of the Hintata emirs. It quickly re-established its status, especially during the reigns of the Saudian sultans Abu Abdullah al-Qaim and Ahmad al-Mansur. Thanks to the wealth amassed by the sultans, Marrakesh was embellished with sumptuous palaces while its ruined monuments were restored. El Badi Palace, built by Ahmad al-Mansur in 1578, was a replica of the Alhambra Palace, made with costly and rare materials including marble from Italy, gold dust from Sudan, porphyry from India and jade from China. The palace was intended primarily for hosting lavish receptions for ambassadors from Spain, England and the Ottoman Empire, showcasing Saudi and Morocco as a nation whose power and influence reached as far as the borders of Niger and Mali. Under the Saudian dynasty, Marrakesh regained its former position as a point of contact for caravan routes from the Maghreb, the Mediterranean and sub-Saharan African. For centuries Marrakesh has been known as the location of the tombs of Morocco's 7 patron saints. When Sufism was at the height of its popularity during the late 17th century reign of Mawli Ismail, the festival of these saints was founded by Abu Ali al-Hasan al-Usi at the request of the Sultan. The tombs of several renowned figures were moved to Marrakesh to attract pilgrims, and the pilgrimage associated with the Seven Saints is now a firmly established institution. Pilgrims visit the tombs of the saints in a specific order, as follows: Sidi Yusuf Ali Sangaji, Aleppo; Qadi Iyad Qadi of Quetta, a theologian and author of Ash-Shifa; Sidi Bel Abbas, known as the patron saint of the city and most revered in the region; Sidi Muhammad al-Jazili, a well-known Sufi who founded the Jazili Brotherhood; Abdulaziz al-Tabar, a student of Jazili; Abdullah al-Ghazwani, known as Mawla; and Sidi Abu al-Kashim al-Suhari, also known as Imam al-Suyani. Until 1867, European Christians were not authorized to enter the city unless they acquired special permission from the Sultan. East European Jews were permitted. During the early 20th century, Marrakesh underwent several years of unrest, after the premature death in 1900 of the Grand Vizier Ba Ahmed, who had been designated regent until the designated Sultan Abdulaziz became of age. The country was plagued by anarchy, tribal revolts, the plotting of feudal lords, and European intrigues. In 1907, Marrakesh Caliph Moli Abd al-Hafid was proclaimed sultan by the powerful tribes of the High Atlas and by ulama scholars who denied the legitimacy of his brother, Abd al-Aziz. It was also in 1907 that Dr. Mochamp, a French doctor, was murdered in Marrakesh, suspected of spying for his country. France used the event as a pretext for sending its troops from the eastern Moroccan town of Oujda to the major metropolitan center of Casablanca in the west. The French colonial army encountered strong resistance from Ahmed al-Hiba, son of Sheikh Ma al-Ainain, who arrived from the Sahara accompanied by his nomadic Reguabat tribal warriors. On the 30th of March 1912, the French protectorate in Morocco was established, after the Battle of Sidi Bou Othman, which saw the victory of the French Mangand column over the al-Hiba forces in September 1912. The French seized Marrakesh. The conquest was facilitated by the rallying of the Imswan tribes and the leaders from the powerful Glaoui family, leading to a massacre of Marrakesh citizens. In the resulting turmoil, Ahmed el-Glaoui, known as Lord of the Atlas, became Pasha of Marrakesh, a post he held virtually throughout the 44-year duration of the protectorate. Glaoui dominated the city and became famous for his collaboration with the general residence authorities, culminating in a plot to dethrone Mohammed ben Youssef and replace him with the Sultan's cousin, Ben Arafa. Glaoui, already known for his amorous adventures and lavish lifestyle, became a symbol of Morocco's colonial order. He could not, however, subdue the rise of nationalist sentiment, nor the hostility of a growing proportion of the inhabitants, nor could he resist pressure from France, who agreed to terminate its Moroccan protectorate in 1956 due to the launch of the Algerian War immediately following the end of the war in Indochina, in which Moroccans had been conscripted to fight in Vietnam on behalf of the French army. After two successive exiles to Corsica and Madagascar, Mohammed ben Youssef was allowed to return to Morocco in November 1955, bringing an end to the despotic rule of Glaoui over Marrakesh and the surrounding region. A protocol giving independence to Morocco was then signed on the 2nd of March 1956 between French Foreign Minister Christian Pinault and Mbarek Ben Bakri. Since the independence of Morocco, Marrakesh has thrived as a tourist destination. In the 1960s and early 1970s, the city became a trendy hippie mecca. It attracted numerous Western rock stars and musicians, artists, film directors and actors, models, and fashion divas, leading tourism revenues to double in Morocco between 1965 and 1970. Yves Saint Laurent, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones and Jean-Paul Getty all spent significant time in the city. Laurent bought a property here and renovated the Margarel Gardens. Expatriates, especially those from France, have invested heavily in Marrakesh since the 1960s, and developed many of the rides and palaces. Old buildings were renovated in the Old Medina, new residences and commuter villages were built in the suburbs, and new hotels began to spring up. United Nations agencies became active in Marrakesh beginning in the 1970s, and the city's international political presence has subsequently grown. In 1985, UNESCO declared the Old Town area of Marrakesh a UNESCO World Heritage Site, raising international awareness of the cultural heritage of the city. In the 1980s, Patrick Garon Hermes purchased the 30 acres in El Quasimo, built by the family of Leo Tolstoy. On 15 April 1994, the Marrakesh Agreement was signed here to establish the World Trade Organization, and in March 1997 Marrakesh served as the site of the World Water Council's first World Water Forum, which was attended by over 500 international participants. In the 21st century, property and real estate development in the city has boomed, with a dramatic increase in new hotels and shopping centers, fueled by the policies of Mohammed VI of Morocco, who aims to increase the number of tourists annually visiting Morocco to 20 million by 2020. In 2010, a major gas explosion occurred in the city. On 28 April 2011, a bomb attack took place in the Jumeirah El Fnaa Square, killing 15 people, mainly foreigners. The blast destroyed the nearby Argana Cafe. Police sources arrested 3 suspects and claimed the chief suspect was loyal to Al-Qaeda, although Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb denied involvement. Geography. By road, Marrakesh is located 580 kilometers southwest of Tangier, 327 kilometers southwest of the Moroccan capital of Rabat, 239 kilometers southwest of Casablanca, 196 kilometers southwest of Penyulap, 177 kilometers east of Essaouira, and 246 kilometers northeast of Agadir. The city has expanded north from the old center with suburbs such as Dawdiat, Dior El Masakin, Jamama, Sidi Abad, Sarka and Militia. To the southeast with Sidi Youssef Ben Ali, to the west with Massima, and southwest to Hayanada, Beradi and beyond the airport. On the P2017 road leading south out of the city are large villages such as Doualana, Tufgana, Laguasem, and Lahabichat, leading eventually through desert to the town of Tangier at the edge of the High Atlas, the highest mountainous barrier in North Africa. The average elevation of the snow-covered High Atlas lies above 3,000 meters. It is mainly composed of Jurassic limestone. The mountain range runs along the Atlantic coast, then rises to the east of Agadir and extends northeast into Algeria before disappearing into Tunisia. The Ourika River Valley is located about 30 kilometers south of Marrakesh. The silvery valley of the Ourika River curving north towards Marrakesh, and the red heights of Jebel Yaga still capped with snow to the south of sites in this area. David Prescott Barrows, who describes Marrakesh as Morocco's strangest city, describes the landscape in the following terms. The city lies some 15 or 20 miles from the foot of the Atlas Mountains, which here rise to the grandest proportions. The spectacle of the mountains is superb. Through the clear desert air the eye can follow the rugged contours of the range for great distances to the north and eastward. The winter snows mantle them with white, and the turquoise sky gives a setting for the grey rocks and gleaming caps that is of unrivaled beauty. with 130,000 hectares of greenery and over 180,000 palm trees in its palmery. Marrakesh is an oasis of rich plant variety. Throughout the seasons, fragrant orange, fig, pomegranate and olive trees display the color and fruits in Agadir Garden, Mainara Garden and other gardens in the city. The city's gardens feature numerous native plants alongside other species that have been imported over the course of the centuries, including giant bamboos, yuccas, papyrus, palm trees, banana trees, cypress, philodendrons, rose bushes, bougainvilleas, pines and various kinds of cactus plants. Climate: a hot semi-arid climate predominates at Marrakesh. Average temperatures range from 12 degrees Celsius in the winter to 32 to 45 degrees Celsius in the summer. The relatively wet winter and dry summer precipitation pattern of Marrakesh mirrors precipitation patterns found in Mediterranean climates. However, the city receives less rain than is typically found in a Mediterranean climate, resulting in a semi-arid climate classification. Between 1961 and 1990, the city averaged 281.3 millimeters of precipitation annually. Barrows says of the climate, the region of Marrakesh is frequently described as desert in character, but, to one familiar with the southwestern parts of the United States, the locality does not suggest the desert but rather an area of seasonal rainfall, where moisture moves underground rather than by surface streams, and where low brush takes the place of the forests of more heavily watered regions. The location of Marrakesh on the north side of the Atlas, rather than the south, forbids it from being described as a desert city, but it remains the northern focus of the Saharan lines of communication, and its history, its types of dwellers, and its commerce and arts, are all related to the Great South Atlas spaces that reach further into the Sahara Desert. Demographics. According to the 2014 census, the population of Marrakesh was 928,850 against 843,575 in 2004. The number of households in 2014 was 217,245 against 173,603 in 2004.